2, 3, 4. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. All right, thank you very much.
Settle down where pretty girls are. Well, you know that I'm around. I kiss them and I love them, cause to me they're all the same. I hug them and I squeeze them, they don't even know my name. They call me the wanderer, yeah, the wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Oh, well, there's Flo on my left arm and there's Mary on my right, and Janie is the girl, well, that I'll be with tonight. And when she asks me which one I love the best, I tear open my shirt and I show a rosy on my chest, cause I'm a wanderer, yeah, a wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Oh, well, I roam from town to town. I go through life without a care, and I'm as happy as a clown. I with my two fists divine, but I'm going nowhere. Oh, yeah, I'm the type of guy that likes to roam around. I'm never in one place. I roam from town to town, and when I find myself falling for some girl, yeah, I hop right into that car of mine. I drive around the world. Yeah, I'm a wanderer. Yeah, a wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Let it go, let it go.
with Venezuela, but that the US-imposed oil quarantine meant that Mr. Trump could determine its future.
What we are running is the direction that this is going to moving forward, and that is we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already, and that leverage that we have with the armada of boats that are currently positioned allow us to seize any sanctioned boats coming into or out of Venezuela, loaded with oil or on its way in to pick up oil, and we can pick and choose which ones we go after. We have court orders for each one. That will continue to be in place until the people who have control over the levers of power in that country make changes. That's what we intend to do. The legal authority is the court orders that we have.
Mr. Rubio also said that elections in Venezuela were premature at this point and that he would work with the country's leadership if they made what he said were the right decisions. Phil Gunson from the International Crisis Group, which tries to resolve conflicts, has lived in the capital, Caracas, for more than 25 years. He said the US was now deeply involved in Venezuela, but it was not running the country.
I think you have to take what Trump said with a large pinch of salt. Yes, I mean, the government here obviously has an interest in doing a deal with the US, and I think a deal can be made, but I don't think that deal has anything to do with democracy or human rights, and probably that's not really very high up Trump's agenda anyway. I think the deal will be to do with access to resources, it'll be to do with excluding extra hemispheric powers like the Chinese, to do with drug trafficking perhaps and migration, but democracy I think is a long way down the list of priorities for President Trump.
In Venezuela, the interim leader Delcy Rodriguez's government has continued trying to calm nerves by telling people that it is, to some extent, business as usual. Our World Affairs correspondent is Joe Inwood, and I asked him first about President Trump's threat against Ms. Rodriguez.
These are very, very strong words that we've heard from President Trump, and I think they will be taken seriously in Venezuela, and it's hard for them to be taken any other way given the events of the last 24, 48 hours. In trying to analyse that response, I think we need to look at two things. Firstly, how the people of Venezuela are responding. And the reports that you get from the ground suggest that there are some protests out in favour of President Maduro, but overall, I think the mood on the ground there, so we understand from the reports, it is trepidation, and quite understandably so. I mean, it was a really extraordinary 48 hours of events that demonstrated just how vulnerable Venezuela and its military are to the United States. I think in terms of the leadership, though, they have been rather firm in their response. I mean, Delcy Rodriguez, who's been sworn in as the successor to Nicolas Maduro, has said that they will not be bowed, they will not do what they're told, and really has, especially now she's got the backing of the powerful army, does seem to be certainly making sounds like they will continue as they did before. But I think that a couple of caveats here. Firstly, of course, she would need to say that at this point. And we understand that certainly the reports we've got from Washington is that she's had much more conciliatory conversations with President Trump, and I think in the back of her mind, of course, will be the fate of her predecessor.
Yes, take a listen to this, Joe. It's the Defence Minister, Vladimir Pedrino. He has stood there urging the people of Venezuela to carry on as normal and resume their economic work and education activities. He also expressed support for acting President Delcy Rodriguez's claim on power and made it clear that the country would be ready for, as he put it, any military incursions by the United States.
Therefore, we are activating throughout the entire national territory and harnessing all civic, military and police powers, full operational readiness in order to integrate the elements of national power in the mission to confront imperial aggression.
So, not mincing his words, what happens, Joe, if Mr. Trump doesn't like what he sees? Is he going to go in again?
Well, he has made it clear that that is still an option. And I think just the sort of the lingering threat, the sword of Damocles that he has over the Venezuelan government, given what they've shown they're able to do, I think the White House will be hoping that that is enough to bring them into line. I've been just discussing over the last few hours what it is he's trying to achieve, and that suggestion of running the country seems completely implausible without boots on the ground, unless you go back to, which is what it seems they are doing, to the gunboat diplomacy of the 19th century, this idea of enforcing what you want with a threat of military power off the coast. And maybe that is the path which they're going to be going down, and it'll be a difficult one for the government of Venezuela to completely ignore.
Joe Inwood. Let's go to New York, where Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores are being held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's been described as hell on earth. correspondent Neda Tawfik has been reporting from outside the building.
Well, certainly it's very different living circumstances than what he is accustomed to. He was, of course, brought to the United States just as night fell yesterday. And after being booked and the White House releasing that perp walk video of him in the Drug Enforcement Administration's office where he was fingerprinted and his mugshot was taken, he was finally last night delivered here to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And it is here where he will remain until an eventual trial. And when you speak to legal experts, they say that could take up to a year, if not more, to get underway, just because of all of the complexities of the case. So, as you mentioned, this is a jail notorious for its bad conditions. We expect that he is going to be put into a kind of special housing away from the general population just out of security concerns. But it won't be until tomorrow afternoon that he has his first court appearance, and when we do finally get to see him in person in public.
Yeah, you mentioned the barbaric conditions. What are the criticisms?
Well, look, I can tell you, having covered the cases, for example, of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, of the rap artist P. Diddy, also other high-profile drug traffickers in this prison. Each time the defense lawyers have implored the judges that the conditions are not safe in the prisons, that the food isn't edible, that sometimes it's so cold the defendants can't even sleep, that the guards will come by and flash light in their eyes constantly, that they, again, just can't get any decent amount of sleep to prepare for their cases. But there have been documented issues of violence where 2 inmates were attacked and died, for example. And since then, the Bureau of Prisons has tried to improve conditions here at this jail. But despite that, it is still considered one of the worst in the federal prison system. And it is the only one here in New York. So overcrowding was a massive issue that they are also now getting a better hold of.
Neda Tawfik. You're listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service. For all the talk of tackling the narcotics trade and stemming the flow of migration, President Trump has made the removal of President Maduro also about oil. The US would run Venezuela, he said, and US oil companies would go in and make Venezuela's beleaguered oil industry profitable again. What is less clear is how. My colleague Lise Doucette spoke to the petro industry expert Francisco J. Manaldi of the Latin America Energy Program at Rice University in Houston, Texas.
Venezuela used to produce much more oil, 3.4 million barrels before Hugo Chavez came to power in 1998. Today it's producing about 1 million barrels, and it went down even further in 2020 because of COVID and US secondary sanctions. So the country could clearly produce much more. It could produce perhaps in a decade about 4 million barrels of oil, but that will require very significant investments, about $100 billion. The reason why the country has not developed these resources has to do with mostly issues of policy, meaning that the government has reneged on contracts repeatedly, has not allowed companies to recover their investments, and it has forced them to have a dominant role of the national oil company, which is in very bad shape. As a result, the industry is in a relatively bad situation in terms of infrastructure.
So President Trump has made it clear he wants U.S. oil companies to go in to rebuild the infrastructure. Just how costly and complicated and time-consuming is that going to be? Yeah, well, it requires everything to align, because U.S. companies, and for that matter any international company, would want to be sure that they have a clear contractual fiscal framework that is stable, and there is political stability for that to actually happen. So far, in the history of Venezuela, those conditions have met only a few times. And so this will require $100 billion of investment over, and that will not happen if all these factors are not aligned. And so far, I think the dust hasn't settled, and we don't know
there is tremendous uncertainty if those conditions are going to be met.
And of course, the officials who worked with President Maduro are still in office, and they may have other ideas about which oil companies they want to work with, or perhaps they'll have no say in the matter if President Trump has his way.
The U.S. has tremendous leverage in the sense that they impose a sort of a blockade of Venezuelan exports to China, which is the main market in the black market, as long as companies don't have licenses to trade from the U.S. Treasury. So today, only the exports to the U.S. that Chevron does, which are about 140,000 barrels, have been allowed in the last few weeks. So that leverage makes the U.S. basically push the administration in Venezuela, whoever is ruling, to do whatever they want. But for getting long-term investments, companies like Conoco and Exxon and even Chevron, which is already there, need a clear framework, a long-term framework to sign deals with the Venezuelan government, and those conditions are not going to be met anytime soon.
Francisco J. Monaldi of the Latin America Energy Program at Rice University. The capture of Nicolas Maduro, codenamed Operation Absolute Resolve, may have taken only 2 hours and 20 minutes, but there were also months of planning. Most of the presidential security team were apparently killed in the operation. Mikey Kay hosts the BBC's security brief and was an advisor in the UK Ministry of Defence. He's been following events.
It was hugely complex, and it was using the latest technology when it comes to fifth-generation fighters. We speak about the F-35 a lot, the IDF use it a lot, Brits use the F-35 a lot. But its use in this particular moment for this operation was more as a sensor platform rather than dropping missiles or bombs. The F-35 was used to get very close into Venezuela's terrain, and then it was using the sensors to effectively pick up the GPS locations of the air defense missiles that Venezuela had. And they were moving. They were moving to try and get out of the way of what's called suppression of enemy air defense. And that'll be the Americans using anti-radiation missiles, basically, that target the surface-to-air missile systems when the missile systems turn on their radar. And these were moving, and what the F-35 was doing is it was updating the GPS locations as those S-300s were moving to direct what are called TLAMs, Tomahawk Land Attack Cruise Missiles, that were launched by the US from either submarines or warships. There's no doubt in my mind that inside help would have been a mandatory requirement. That's a no-brainer. To what extent it was an inside job, I think, is the big question. Open source reporting at the moment tells us that there was a CIA asset put in there in summertime. And that's key, because if you're going to launch those helicopters on a 2.5-hour mission, very, very low level over Venezuela and Caracas, putting themselves at great risk, you've got to make sure, be really accurate and with a high degree of possibility that Maduro is going to be in the location that intelligence has said that he's going to be in.
Mikey Kay of the BBC's security brief. Now to Switzerland. We're in Crans-Montana, close to the scene of the fire which killed 40 people, mostly young adults and teenagers. In the early hours of the new year, it's been a day of remembrance. There's been a silent procession, a vigil, and a church service. A message of condolence from the Pope was also read. Officials say they've now identified all 40 victims of the blaze. Our Europe correspondent Sarah Rainsford is in Crans-Montana and told me more about today's events.
A very difficult day, but also I think some comfort for some of the people who were directly affected by the tragedy here, because we saw hundreds and hundreds of people in the street outside the church where the special mass took place this morning. Lots of people holding each other for comfort, lots of people of course in tears, and in fact a couple of people collapsed, fainted and fell to the ground. They were so overwhelmed by their emotions. So really, really tough, but a kind of sense as well of a community coming together to support one another, and that was certainly what all the officials were talking about today who spoke, as well as the religious leaders who led the ecumenical service in the church here. And then there was, as you mentioned, this vast procession up the street, just a short walk from the church up to the site next to the bar itself, where there's now a shrine heavy with flowers and with candles and soft toys in memory of all the dead. And the most moving moment, I think, really was when the silent procession suddenly became a loud burst of applause, because I realised that the fire and rescue service workers had come to the memorial too, all in their uniform, and they stood there, applauded as heroes, but they were in tears, really weeping as they stood at the memorial. And afterwards we spoke to the fire chief here, who said he was just terribly sorry for those that they couldn't save. So a very emotional day for everybody, I think.
And there's to be a national day of mourning in Switzerland.
Yes, next Friday there'll be a day of mourning here, but you know, for Crans-Montana it's been 3-4 days of mourning already.
Sarah Rainsford in Crans-Montana. The President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, has wasted no time at all in making good on his promise to make security his priority. He's markedly increased his defence budget for 2026, and just days into the new year, he's ordered his security forces to track down and bring to justice anyone behind a deadly attack on a village market in Niger State. At least 30 people were killed. Our Global Affairs reporter Richard Kagoi has been following events in a nation increasingly beset by violence and kidnappings.
Police in Niger State say gunmen emerged from a nearby forest and stormed Kasuandaji village, touching market stalls, looting shops for food, then turning their guns on residents. 30 people are confirmed dead, and an unknown number were dragged away. Kasuandaji is less than 20 kilometers from Papiri, where just months ago, more than 200 students and staff were abducted from their school in one of Nigeria's worst mass kidnappings in years. We remember Papiri because
lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At PSPIT, we keep your business systems running at their best. From modernising legacy platforms to developing powerful bespoke software, enterprise CRMs and complex integrated websites. We help organisations across every sector stay ahead. Whether you need a small digital upgrade or a full end-to-end transformation, our team supports you from concept to completion, managing every stage and every detail. PSPIT, transforming the way businesses work, now and into the future. Visit psp-it.co.uk to get started.
Get the perfect gift for any British beer lover from Cheers Britannia, the proud sponsor of the AI Sports Report.
Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim declared he arrived at Old Trafford to serve as manager rather than head coach in a remarkable press conference outburst following his side's 1-1 draw at Elland Road. The Portuguese boss's comments come amid reported tensions with the club hierarchy. He said, "I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. That is clear. I know that my name is not Tuchel, it's not Conte, it's not Mourinho, but I'm the manager of Manchester United, and it's going to be like this for 18 months or when the board decides to change. That's the latest sport. For more, go to gbnews.com.
Visit cheersbritannia.com to join the club today and get 10% off a selection of great British beers when you subscribe. Please drink responsibly.
Tracy spent weeks searching for safe, supportive care for her mum. Overwhelmed by costs, hope seemed lost until she found Agincare.
Agincare helped me understand just how many care options there are for my mum.
Tracy's mum now has the care she needs at an affordable price. Agincare offers choices like care homes, home care and live-in care.
It's quality care families can trust.
Visit agincare.com or call 0808 3019 865 and quote GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And you each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer has admitted he regrets saying he was delighted Egyptian activist Abdel Fattah had settled and returned, or as they say, returned to the UK after anti-Semitic and anti-British social media posts resurfaced.
The Minister of this country says he's delighted to welcome somebody back who'd expressed those views. Are you sorry you did?
Well, of course I regret that, and your point that somebody in government should have known is one I've made myself to the appropriate team.
Well, the Prime Minister told the BBC he was unaware of the comments when he welcomed El Fattah's release, calling them abhorrent and admitting a serious failure by the government. However, despite calls from Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch to revoke El Fattah's citizenship and deport him from the UK, the Prime Minister is still yet to comment. And I'm now joined by counter-extremism expert Sahil Ahmed. Thank you very much for joining me. Should El Fattah be deported from the UK?
Honestly, my straight-up answer is yes. I think so. I don't think he should be in the UK. I don't think anyone who fundamentally hates British values, who we are, everything about the United Kingdom, he argued for genocide, essentially. He said there's a critical mass of Israelis that should be killed. Then the problem will be solved.
I think he uses the word Zionists in a lot of that as a part of the guise.
There's a specific tweet that I read that he refers to Israelis as well.
Right. And there's also these tweets about British people as well. I think
he called them donkeys.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? What I don't understand about all of this is when I take a step back and I think the hundreds of hours that would have poured into this man's case, the hundreds of thousands of pounds potentially of taxpayer money that would have gone into it, the diplomats, the civil servants working from the Home Office to the Foreign Office. How nobody, you're telling me, no one in the government was aware this was going on? How could we have missed this?
See, I don't blame the Prime Minister. No one man can know everything.
Sure.
But the European Union, in fact, the European Parliament was going to give this man a prize for freedom of thought. Can't remember what the name of the prize is. They actually revoked it for one of his tweets.
That's right.
And actually, a Liberal Democrat MEP spoke out against him in the European Parliament. So actually, this was in the public record. This was happening in the European Parliament. So the fact that no one in the machinery, that is the British kind of government, it's incredibly surprising that this fell through the cracks.
Indeed.
I'd be very angry. If I were the Prime Minister right now, I'd be demanding answers.
Yeah. Well, they're saying they're going to launch an investigation into this, but I'm always just thinking to myself, well, even the previous Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, had actually tweeted out at Allah, at his account. So if Foreign Secretary was tweeting and tagging his account, they must have known the account existed. And we all know a lot of these politicians, I'll bring the rest of my panel here tonight into this story as well. A lot of the politicians in Britain have their accounts run by civil servants or people they've hired. So there was an awareness somewhere around these people, Adam, about these tweets, in my opinion.
There's no way that Keir Starmer didn't know of these tweets. There's no way that government didn't know of these tweets. They hoped no one noticed. This Labour government always seems to side with the foreign, I call him scumbag. He is a scumbag. Because at the end of the day, his tweets showed racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, extremist views. This man should not be in Britain at all. And if the Prime Minister really wanted to show us, the people, that he is on our level and he understands, that man will be deported. And we need to do it quickly before Egypt revoke his citizenship. And I want to know, is Allah's family and him being funded by the taxpayer? Is he costing us money?
I highly suspect the answer is yes.
That's what we need to know.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out.
What I would say is that I agree with the thrust of what you're saying. I don't think he should be here. But one thing I will say is that I never attribute to malice that which could be attributed to otherwise to incompetence. I really do think that, and I've worked with a number of these people who work in these circles, and honestly, a lot of them really don't know what they're doing. Frankly,
That's scary. There is a problem with massive incompetence in the government, as we were just talking about in the previous story, Peter. But at the same time, this kind of this level of incompetence is so shocking to the British people. They're beginning to wonder what they're paying their taxes for.
Because so many people watching or listening to this show will go, if I was that useless at work, I'd get sacked.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they would. But I'd like to know, he's been here over a week now. Has he applied for a job yet? Is he going through the situations vacant pages, seeing if there's a job? Or has he applied for benefits yet, building on what you said? Has he? We need answers.
He'll be on a speaking tour of Russell Group University soon. We all know this. Listen, I've been in these rooms as well. I have been in rooms with activists. I've been in rooms with people that work in government. The problem is here, it is incompetence, but it's also a willful neglect, because they don't think that hating Zionism is a problem. They think it's okay. So when they see these tweets, they would go, oh, he's just passionate, because it's a willful ignorance. And, you know, when you've been in rooms with these sorts of activists, they're very single-minded, and they will bring this stuff up constantly. This is a guy that we need to look after. We need him here. You know, he's a good guy. Yes, he said this stuff.
It's virtue signalling, isn't it? That's what it is. So I'll come back to you on this one, because if this man of such a high profile can slip through the cracks, is there a concern from a counter-extremism perspective that many people coming to Britain today, particularly I think people coming over here illegally, will have similar or worse views?
I think you know the answer to that. Yes, the answer is yes. In fact, it's even worse. I'd refer to it, and I've coined this term. Forgive me for saying this, but I call them stealth Islamists. There are people out there who work as formally as advisors to even the police, and they present themselves as moderate Muslims like myself, and in fact they are raging like hate mongers. They support violence, they support hatred, they hate everything we stand for, but they present themselves as these moderates, and they weasel their way into these kinds of positions of influence. And whenever I kind of come across them, I always go, wait a minute, I can kind of smell them, because unfortunately I used to be an Islamist, right? An extremist. That's how I got into the counter-extremism work I do now. But I can smell them a mile away, Alex. I can smell them a mile away.
Well, Sahel, thank you so much. It was very brave of you to come here and talk about this stuff, and we want to thank you for doing so and for being such an important voice in this discourse that we're having at the moment, because this is going to continuously play itself out in Britain until we do get more people speaking up, and you're one of the brave people that's doing that. Sahel Ahmed, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Please come back again soon. A government spokesperson has said this: Mr. El Fattah is a British citizen. It has been a long-standing priority under successive governments to work for his release from detention and to see him reunited with his family in the UK. Abdel Fattah has also said, we're looking at the tweets now, the ones that were not completely twisted out of their meaning. I do understand how shocking and hurtful they are, and I unequivocally apologise. All right, well, coming up, a gay, gender-fluid, golden retriever, Afghan hound mix. Yep. Someone says I heard that right, I don't know. That's coming up apparently. But next, the front pages have well and truly dropped. We'll be running through them shortly. On the front page of The Sun, AJ's pledge to families of brothers. This is Alex Armstrong tonight on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Temperatures above average across parts of Greece at the moment, but still some heavy showers and thunderstorms across parts of Spain. Also down towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, seeing some strong winds and showery rain too. Rain falling as snow over the mountains across parts of Spain, across into Italy as well. Further rain here around the coast. Temperatures around 12 or 13 Celsius. Something a little drier towards Greece there, and temperatures above average, and it remains so here for the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see an another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt's brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well, perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Hi, I'm Pat Allerton, Vicar of St Peter's Church, Notting Hill. No persecuted Christian should have to walk alone. I'm at the Help the Persecuted Seeds of Hope farm in Lebanon. The vegetables they grow mean survival for families who've lost everything, all because they chose to follow Jesus Christ. That's why I support Help the Persecuted. Their teams in 15 countries are rescuing, restoring, and rebuilding lives destroyed by persecution. I've seen their work firsthand, and you can be part of it too. Learn more at htp.news.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got your front pages here. Should we go through them together? The Telegraph. Trump sets his sights on Greenland. Yes, interesting that, isn't it? The Independent. We are not at war, US insists as it claims control of Venezuela. The Metro. Welcome to New York and have a nice stay. I love that one. The I paper. Starmer plots course for a softer Brexit as leadership rivals circle. The Sun. AJ's pledge to families of brothers. And leading the gbnews.com website tonight, mother and teenage daughter named as victims of sea tragedy after man died trying to save them. And also, Donald Trump sets sights on Greenland as Denmark fires back with stop the threats demand and stop reform. Plotters warned plan to block Nigel Farage's march to number 10 faces 3 huge problems. Well, of course, I've got my titans on the panel tonight. Lisa McKenzie's here, Peter Blexley's here, and Adam Brooks. Could you ask for a better show, eh? What could I ask for? Shall we start with the Telegraph? Because this is an interesting story. It's circulated back from this time, almost this time last year, when Trump said he wanted Greenland, basically. He was quite public about it. He's come out again and said he wants Greenland. Peter, he said that he needs the Danish territory for defence against China and Russia, and that there's loads of battleships and submarines circling the island.
Yes, I think Denmark are going to be less than pleased about the noises that Trump has made. But I think one of the real strengths of Donald Trump's presidency is the unpredictability of it all.
Yes.
He's completely taken people by surprise again and again and again, including enemies. Look at the Iran strike, for example, when he almost obliterated their nuclear power capability. And, of course, with Venezuela. And there's more. Greenland, I think he might make noises, as he often does, but then, of course, he doesn't always follow those noises up. It's all part of his presidency. Whatever Donald Trump does is transactional. Something's got to be to the benefit of him and his nation, or else he ain't going to get involved.
Adam, Donald Trump, I think Peter sort of nailed it, really. He is a president of being unpredictable, but that also has really upset his adversaries. And I don't think the Chinese delegation would have been in Venezuela the day, or basically before Trump launched that attack, had they known about it. And normally these espionage people are pretty good at figuring things out. Trump's catching everyone off guard, isn't it? Is that a strength?
They haven't gone to war with Venezuela. Let's remind people that. He's taken the president and his wife on drugs charges. The FBI and the DEA were there. This was not an army going in. This was a legal case. And the Venezuelans are celebrating around the world and in Venezuela. This is a totally different thing. He's putting it out there as a businessman that he'd like to buy Greenland, not take it over by force or anything like that. So the headline is a little bit sort of twisted here. He's a businessman, he's flexing his muscles, but nothing's going to happen here. If Denmark wanted to sell it, then he would be the buyer, but they don't. So,
well, Lisa, here's the thing, isn't it? It's actually very strategically important, given where it is and the Arctic Circle and how many Russian and Chinese... Basically, what people forget is you can go this way over the planet. You can go over that bit there, which does pose a threat to America. If the Russians, who are literally on the other side of that ice there, could easily get their submarines over to America. Is that part of the reason why Trump is so keen to get it, do you think?
Well, again, this is more complicated than it first appears, because this has been something that's been discussed for many years, and many presidents has talked about this as well. I remember talking about this last year here on GB News, and one of the things that we said is that it's not as mad as it appears. In Greenland, there has been sort of referendums in the past about Denmark's rule over Greenland. So it's not actually this sort of left field thing. It is something that's been talked about by US presidents previously. So what Trump has done is he's sort of bringing up an old subject, but because what happened between Ukraine and Russia has sort of put it back into focus again. Yeah,
it's a very interesting bit of land as well, but most of it is uninhabitable. You can't actually live in it, Peter. It is just ice. It's very cold, and it's mostly just about strategic stuff. Trump has even said there's no minerals there that we would want anyways. It's not like we want to mine the place. He just wants it basically as a big military base.
Not that Greenland and Denmark need my advice or would heed it anyway, but if I were to sit down with their leaders, I'd say treat Donald Trump as a friend, not an enemy. You can probably make this mutually beneficial.
Yeah, there you go. I want to listen. I know I was teasing this earlier on. What do you think of this front page? This just genuinely cracked me up. Is it Piers Morgan or Piers Brosnan? So there's a bloke here who's gone over. I can't remember what it's to Bulgaria. So this is a Sunday Sport. He's gone to Bulgaria to get plastic surgery, and he's asked to look like Piers Brosnan, but it looks like the surgeons have been confused and picked Piers Morgan, the poor bloke. Must have spent thousands of pounds. I think it's kind of uncanny. I think they've done a pretty good job at him. What do you think?
Not
your usual show tonight, is it?
He wants a refund.
Yeah, he deserves a refund there. He really does.
Yeah, that's Piers.
Piers Morgan has actually posted this, just so you know.
That is Piers Morgan, isn't it?
It does. I mean, Piers Morgan said, what a thing to make up to, Pete.
Well, the lesson is, if you're going to have plastic surgery, and I don't speak from experience here, write it down.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Look, loads more coming up in the papers very shortly. The front page of the Daily Mail saying this: the Prime Minister faces a revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. Well. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News. That's going to be a good one.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Most New Year's resolutions last, a week? Here's one we'll help you keep. A resolution to sleep better, with up to 60% off in the Mattress Online January sale and free next day delivery on the biggest brands like Silent Night, Emma and Sealy at "why didn't I do this sooner" prices. Plus, for added peace of mind, you've got a 60-night sleep trial. Order today at mattressonline.co.uk. Sleep better tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Power cables for motorhome, stage show or on-site. 16, 32 amp or 3-phase. Motorcables.co.uk.
Cables in control. Let's electrify the soul. Plug and play, no delay. Feel the power every day.
Made in the UK, fully tested so they're ready to go. Free next day delivery, lifetime guarantee. Visit motorcables.co.uk today.
Terms and exclusions apply.
Is your IT or digital project off course? Missed milestones, scope creep, stakeholder pressure mounting? At PSP IT, we rescue failing projects and deliver complex or small ones successfully from start to finish. Using agile recovery frameworks, expert governance and proven delivery, we restore control, rebuild momentum and deliver results. PSP-IT.com. Navigate your project back to safe harbour, back on track, back in control.
From Access to Builder Bets or whatever your football bet, make the switch to Star Sports this season. Switch to starsports.bet. Call 08000 521 321. Or download our app. Visit starsports.bet. Gamble aware 18+. Please gamble responsibly.
Join the community. Be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations by commenting on your say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by going to gbnews.com/friend.
We've got more front pages here for you. Let's start with the Daily Mail. The Prime Minister faces revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. Well. We're going to be definitely digging into that one, let me tell you that for sure. The Guardian. Trump warns of big price to pay if Caracas fails to toe the line. Mirror. Jesse twins agony. The Daily Express. Fears Starmer is plotting a full-blown Brexit betrayal. I've been saying this for months now. The Times. Trump issues warning to Venezuela's new leader. All right, I've got my panel here with me. Should we start with that Daily Mail story? Because I'm not surprised to hear this. If any of you use social media, you might have seen some of Keir Starmer and Labour MPs' thoughts on this Maduro capturing. Apparently, Labour is tearing itself apart over it, Adam. Some of them want Keir Starmer to attack Donald Trump over the breach of their favourite thing, international law. Some of them, of course, are happy about it. I saw there was a journalist on Twitter earlier posting a screenshot of a Labour WhatsApp group, and one of the MPs had said, Keir Starmer did a good job today, only got 5 likes. Apparently someone whose birthday it was today also got more likes than that in this Labour WhatsApp group, so it gives you a sign of how bad it is. What do you think, Adam?
No, I think Labour is made up of various factions, and the far left are always going to be anti-Britain, anti-anything that we do, and there's people in government that are like that as well. For me, this is the most dangerous government, an anti-British government we've had in decades. I cannot wait until they're out. But it just says it all, really.
Yeah, Lisa, the Labour Party is kind of where the Tories are, in my opinion, post-Brexit. Tearing itself apart, hasn't got an ideology anymore as a party. It's split between its left and its centre-left flanks, and therefore the Prime Minister's going to find it harder and harder to govern them.
Yeah, but the Labour Party has always been like that, as the Tory Party.
Lydia, so we came home to see where she is from. Okay, so tell us what ballet has done for Lydia.
Ballet imesaidia Lydia sana, siwezi sema.
BBC. This is the BBC.
There are no programmes on this channel at present. Details of all our services are at bbcworldservice.com.
From the Sky News Center at 10, the US Secretary of State's been justifying the operation to go into Venezuela, capture the country's president and put him in a New York courtroom.
We just can't allow it. We can't have a country where the people in charge of its
Hey, it's Eric Strauss from News Radio KKOB. Guys, I know what it feels like to be tired all the time. Losing muscle, gaining weight, struggling with focus, and just not feeling like yourself. And that's why I went to Vita Vital Medical. They're right here in Albuquerque, and they're experts in men's health. Their licensed providers help me with a personalized plan that works. They specialize in testosterone replacement therapy, ED treatments, and peptide therapy to restore strength, energy, confidence, and performance. I can tell you from experience, they listen, they care, and they get results. Don't keep wondering what's wrong. Get answers and start feeling like yourself again. Call 505-240-8559 or visit VitaVitaMedical.com, spelled V-I-D-A, vitalmedical.com. Take control of your health and feel alive again with Vita Vital Medical, Albuquerque's hormone health experts. Trust me, I did. It makes a difference.
Wherever, however you're hearing today's show, Happy New Year. What follows is an encore presentation of our year-end December 20th live national broadcast.
Stay connected with us anytime, anywhere at rmworldtravel.com. Now, back to America's #1 travel radio show.
All right, everyone. Well, Rudy has riffed. We've talked with the team. We've covered skiing, TSA, the U.S. meet, and America's 250 ahead. And now as Mary and I get ready to land this baby for the final time in 2025 as we enjoy the holidays before beginning another big year ahead on the show, we're going to answer some of the emails sent in to us, and we're sponsored by MyPillow.com/Carrie.
Whether it's last-minute Christmas gifts or starting off the new year with deals, and more deals, you're going to find so many items on sale right now at MyPillow.com/Carrie. You're going to find pillows, towels, slippers, sheets, socks, blankets, and comforters, clothing, and more. The blowout sale is happening, so go make your Christmas merry and save.
Yeah, absolutely do that, folks. Besides all the items Mary just mentioned that are on sale, my coffee is 50% off, and the Rev 7 energy drink, well, it's 30% off. Whatever you buy from them, folks, MyPillow delivers quality, they deliver low prices. Go get all the show savings at MyPillow.com/Carrie. Use code Carrie, C-A-R-E-Y. You're going to save big time. Or just find a direct link at rmworldtravel.com. Look under sponsors. Email number 1, Mary. You ready? We're going to roll right into these.
All set.
This is from Declan. Declan, who listens to us in Columbia, Missouri. That's our affiliates AM 1400 and FM 98.9 KFRU radio. Declan writes, we took a trip to Atlanta for Thanksgiving, and because the plane changed from the time we booked flights, I ended up in a middle seat. The person on the aisle hogged the armrest the entire flight. The person at the window kept the shade down the entire time and watched videos like a zombie. There were no snacks on the flight, just drinks. None of it was fun, but the worst thing was the overhead bins in my row and the rows around me were all taken, even though we boarded on the earlier side. Since you travel so often, I'd like to know how you'd handle this situation, and was my flight an exception to the rule or more the norm? Thanks for considering my question. Your program is one of my favorites on our local station that I try to never miss.
Well, Declan, unfortunate, but kind of goes with the territory these days with flying. I would just roll with it. We see it all the time. I guess the positive news is you had a short flight. I will say window shades do belong to whoever's in the window seat, and they are supposed to be up for takeoff or landing for safety reasons. Robert and I see all sorts of things when we fly, as well as at hotels and on cruise ships and car rental centers, wherever. You know, Robert, we just learned to roll with these things. But, you know, I will say I think if more people followed the golden rule in life, we'd all be a lot more sane and pleasant and just be kind and think about other people. Our position on the middle seat and the overhead bin space is this. The middle seat passenger does get both armrests on either side of their seat. That's sort of like an industry standard in travel. Overhead bins are not as clear cut. You will see flight crews also have to use them for their luggage. They're community property. There's no name assigned to them. And just because you're in row 14 doesn't mean you're entitled to the overhead bin over row 14.
Absolutely. You know, Declan, listening to what Mary just said, you know, we've noticed more airlines, they do monitor overhead bins these days during boarding. And you should never use, by the way, first or business class if you're not sitting there. But flight attendants, they're not police, as they have other important responsibilities. And with so many people carrying on these days, as folks try to avoid paying for the check bags, it's certainly a bigger issue out there. We get that. And we say if you find a space for your bag upon boarding, use it. Oftentimes people have connecting flights, so having your bag closer to the front makes sense. I go back to what Mary just said. Think about the golden rule. If more of us treated others like we'd want to be treated, there'd be a lot less agita in travel. So thanks for being a show fan and listening to us. We really appreciate that, Declan. Hope you have a great Christmas. Email number 2, that comes from Crawford, who listens in Yamu, Florida. That's our Tallahassee area affiliate, AM 790 WGRA radio. Crawford is asking, listening to your show is always a highlight of my week, and I want to first say thank you for loving America. I've tried to go back to your previous shows from earlier this year on the website, as I recall you talking about cities named after our presidents. Can you talk about that again, as I found it so interesting? Thank you, and Merry Christmas. Well, Crawford, very Merry Christmas to you as well. It's not hard to love our country. It is the greatest in the world. Yes, there are some who hate this great nation. That's truly unfortunate, but honestly, it just, you know, the truth is it says more about them, honestly.
I really like your question. I love when people go back and they want to try to find another segment. We did go back and we found that what we think you're talking about, Crawford, it was a conversation about which American president has the most cities or towns named after him. I think the answer is not going to surprise anyone. It's in our nation's capital name. George Washington does have the most at 60, last count anyway, at least when we did this segment named after him, from Washington, D.C. to Washington, Connecticut, Washington, Iowa, Washington, Louisiana. There's Washington, North Carolina, Washington, Utah. We have Washingtonville, New York, Washington Park, Illinois, Mount Washington, Massachusetts, and my personal favorite is George Washington in Washington State.
I like that, George Washington. Andrew Jackson is second with just over 20 cities or towns named after him. Think Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, New Jersey, Jacksonville, Florida, Jacksonville, Oregon, and others. Then there's a big drop down to James Monroe with 12. William Henry Harrison has 6. Thomas Jefferson and James Buchanan each have 5 across the country. And of our 47 presidents, 19 have no city or town named after them.
Yeah,
but I would say that's going to change. I could see a Trumpville or a Donaldland coming there.
Oh my, that's funny. And likely pretty sure who. You know, I think it's surprising Abraham Lincoln only has 4 cities or towns named after him. He was a pretty, you know, I liked him as a president, and I think that that surprises me. But he does have a lot of counties named after him across the country, so that's an entirely different question. And another surprise, Ben Franklin has over 40 cities and towns named after him, which would rank him above every other president except for George Washington.
Well, that's interesting. We're going to leave it there on that interesting little note. Now it's time for us to put a wrap on today's live national broadcast, folks. There's going to be an encore presentation ahead for Christmas and New Year's when we return in January. Our first live broadcast of 2026, well, it's going to be from the Panama Canal as Mary and I kick off celebrating America's 250 in a big way by traveling from Miami to Los Angeles. We're not doing it by plane, train, or automobile. Instead, it's the big Let's Go America tour that's going to have us doing it by sea. So be sure to stay connected with us on our social media at RM World Travel. Thank you for being an important part of this program all year. A very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season to all of you. We're looking forward to a great year ahead, everyone. Until we return live on Saturday, January 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time in Panama. Special thanks to all of our guests who appear on the show today with Mary and me and Rudy. Thanks to our show team, network affiliates, and our sponsors. And thanks to all of you out there who help make what we do America's #1 travel radio show. Wherever you may be headed this week, safe travels and enjoy.
You've been listening to award-winning RM World Travel, America's #1 travel radio show on the SSI Radio Network.
As part of the Hilton portfolio of brands, Hilton Grand Vacations provide...
Hey, it's Eric Strauss from News Radio KKOB. Guys, I know what it feels like to be tired all the time. Gaining weight, feeling mentally foggy, and just not performing like you used to. I was there, and that's why I went to Vita Vital Medical. They're right here in Albuquerque, and they're experts in hormone health for both men and women. They help me with a personalized plan that works for my needs. And I can tell you from experience, they listen, they care, and they get results. Whether you're a man dealing with ED and low testosterone, or a woman struggling with menopause symptoms, hormone imbalance can impact every part of your life. Vita Vital offers TRT, BHRT, peptide therapy, medical weight loss, and sexual wellness treatment. Call 505-240-8559 or visit VitaVitalMedical.com, spelled V-I-D-A, vitalmedical.com. Don't wait, take control of your health and feel alive again with Vita Vita Medical, Albuquerque's hormone health experts. Trust me, I did, and it made a difference.
KKOB AM and FM Albuquerque, where the conversation lives. Stream us live or listen on demand with the KKOB app.
Who is in charge in Venezuela? That's the burning question on the day after U.S. forces swept in and made off with the president, Maduro, and his wife to face trial on narco-terrorism charges. Initially, President Trump said that the U.S. would be running Venezuela for now. Well, today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the United States would not take a day-to-day role in governing, but will control the oil.
What's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do.
Rubio on ABC's This Week. Asked by NBC if Cuba is the next target, he said, "The Cuban government is a huge problem. I think they're in a lot of trouble." Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer told ABC News that despite what Rubio said about Venezuela, the administration doesn't have the authority to launch the operation without Congress signing off.
There is no authority to go. They did not just do ships off the water. They went inside Venezuela, bombed civilian as well as military places. And it's a violation of the law to do what they did without getting the authorization of
Schumer said that although Maduro is horrible, we have learned through the years that when America tries to do regime change and nation building in this way, the American people pay the price in both blood and in dollars. Maduro is being held at a notorious prison jail that's so troubled, some judges have refused to send people there. He's due to make his first appearance tomorrow. Lawyers for Maduro are expected to argue that he is immune from prosecution as a sovereign head of a foreign state. For now, Venezuela's Supreme Court has determined that Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, assumed the role of acting president. President Trump told The Atlantic today that if she doesn't do what is right, she's going to pay a very big price. Probably, he says, bigger than Maduro. You're listening to ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal, book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
A school in North Carolina is calling in counselors to help people deal with the passing of a teacher yesterday, beaten to death while on the phone calling for help. ABC's Diane Wilson reports the suspect is under arrest.
Raleigh police telling us they got a 911 call from Zoe Welch reporting a man was inside her home. When officers arrived at Welch's home, police say she had life-threatening injuries. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. Police charged 36-year-old Ryan Camacho with Welch's murder and felony burglary. Welch was a teacher at Ravenscroft in Raleigh, the school providing this statement. The Ravenscroft community is devastated by the loss of our beloved colleague and friend, Zoe Welch.
Saying things nobody else would say may be Marjorie Taylor Greene's most durable legacy as she steps down from Congress tomorrow, halfway through her third term. She earned fame first with conspiracy theories and incendiary rhetoric, making her a national symbol of politics without guardrails. Then it was her willingness to criticize President Trump. She kept it up on her final day today, blasting his decision to strike Venezuela, calling it the same Washington playbook that doesn't serve the American people, but actually serves the big corporations, the banks, and the oil executives. Wet weather will stick with the West to start the new work week. What else is new? But at least a drier, long-term outlook is finally being called for. A quick system brings ice and snow from the upper Midwest through the Northeast into Monday. I'm Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Hey, it's Eric Strauss from News Radio KKOB. Guys, I know what it feels like to be tired all the time. Losing muscle, gaining weight, struggling with focus, and just not feeling like yourself. And that's why I went to Vita Vital Medical. They're right here in Albuquerque, and they're experts in men's health. Their licensed providers help me with a personalized plan that works. They specialize in testosterone replacement therapy, ED treatment, and peptide therapy to restore strength, energy, confidence, and performance. I can tell you from experience, they listen, they care, and they get results. Don't keep wondering what's wrong. Get answers and start feeling like yourself again. Call 505-240-8559 or visit VitaVitaMedical.com, spelled V-I-D-A, vitalmedical.com. Take control of your health and feel alive again with Vita Vital Medical, Albuquerque's hormone health experts. Trust me, I did. It makes a difference.
This is the best of Bob Clark on 96.3 News Radio KKOB. Winner of Albuquerque the Magazine's Best of the City, Albuquerque's best talk show, as voted by you. Live from downtown Albuquerque, this is Bob Clark.
I'm leaving the station. All aboard? All hooked up, ready to go. It's going to be amazing.
On 96.3 News Radio KKOB.
96.3 News Radio KKOB. Bob Clark along with Jerry Wright in for DC Candy Cruise Traffic. We're going to be talking more now about the assassination of 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, CEO and co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA, who was assassinated yesterday, shot dead while an event at Utah Valley University, and it was just 1 month ago where he was here in Albuquerque. He's been in Albuquerque twice in recent years. In 2022, he appeared at UNM, and some students on campus there were not happy about his appearance. They tried to get the university to cancel it. When that didn't happen, some protesters did show up. They never did interrupt his appearance, but they ended up clashing with UNM police outside of the auditorium where he was appearing. But just last month, he was at Legacy Church here in Albuquerque. Thousands of people packing the auditorium there to hear Charlie Kirk, and in the crowd was Albuquerque State Senator Nicole Tobias, who joins us now here on News Radio KKOB. Senator, thank you very much for your time this morning. And obviously, as we know, September 11th every year, and this year, of course, we mark 24 years since the terrorist attacks on our nation. September 11th of 2001 is always a very solemn day. But even more so with what happened yesterday, and considering the political violence that we continue to see in this country. So before we get to the event that you were at last month here in Albuquerque, just kind of your thoughts after hearing and seeing what happened yesterday.
Well, good morning, Bob. Yeah, it's a heavy day for sure. Shock, first of all, absolute shock. Unfortunately, I saw that video. It's unbelievable. It still doesn't feel real in some respects. But I think what happened yesterday is a huge sign of the deep divide and the lack of humanity that we're experiencing in a lot of different ways in our country right now, and it's very, very disturbing.
Why do you think Charlie Kirk was such an effective communicator?
As a Christian, I think that he was so effective because he actually did exactly what Christ did, which is he just went out among regular people. He really wasn't a politician while he had political beliefs. He wanted open conversation, open discourse. He welcomed it. I love that on his tent that he sat under, it says, "Prove me wrong." He was there for lively but respectful debate. And he never hurt anyone. His only crime was his opinion. But the way he rallied the youth in our country, I really believe that he was a voice for a generation, especially the Gen Z generation. Both my boys are Gen Z. He helps these kids look at life from a whole different perspective. And he talked about God and country and family, and in a way that I think many people, especially our youth, had never heard anyone speak.
There's no question, Nicole Tobiasen, State Senator, joining us here on News Radio KKOB. He could connect with people of all ages, but definitely younger people. And I know you mentioned your own children, but your colleague who represents the GOP Senate caucus, the communications director, Brandon Harris, posted a note yesterday on social media about the impact that Charlie Kirk had on him. And in fact, he was doing what he does now because of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, and Brandon and I were sitting side by side when we saw Charlie, and it was actually, I think, exactly a month ago yesterday that he was here. I also went and saw him speak when he was here last year as well. I think he empowered an entire generation of kids to act and think differently and with compassion and thought for other people. I mean, I just heard a clip of Charlie last night when I was reviewing some things, and he openly said, I'm on my own spiritual journey, and so are you. He didn't bash other people. He just helped question them, critical thinking, right, to look at what they were talking about from a new lens. And a lot of times he actually turned their opinion. And I think he did it in a really amazing way. What a gift he was to our country. And I think by this brutal assassination, this movement is now tenfold. It's not silence. I think it will grow.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. That's just what's so incredibly sad about what happened yesterday. Is while Charlie Kirk certainly was a man of strong belief and strong conviction and strong opinion, for him it was always about the power of dialogue. I mean, he was always willing to talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime, even those who disagreed with him, and he was always willing to talk.
And free speech, Bob, is one of the founding principles of our country. So I'm appalled, especially this morning, to see some of the remarks that people are making on social media. I won't even repeat them. I'm flabbergasted that people of other beliefs are celebrating his brutal assassination.
They're sick people.
And this is, go ahead.
They're sick people. I'm not even giving them the time of day.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. And this morning, a young widow woke up to two young children.
Yeah.
Boy, a mom. I can't believe those children will never know their father but by video, by stories. And that it's criminal. It's so criminal and it's evil.
Tell us, before we let you go, tell us about that evening at Legacy Church and the crowd and the connection that was being made between Charlie Kirk and everyone in that auditorium, regardless of their age.
What an amazing energy he brought to a room. I think I heard there were 5,000 people there, and I know there were many more that just couldn't get in the building. It was packed. There was not an empty seat. And it was what you see on a video of him when he's out at colleges. I mean, he just spoke his truth. And it shouldn't be a question whether anyone believes 100% what he believed, because he was an individual. You can look at family members, friends, and you're never going to agree 100%. But he had a pure purpose of bringing people to God, of looking at the country the way it was meant to be established and maintained, especially with free speech. And there was a line of people all the way up the aisle waiting so desperately to ask him questions. And I love that it's always, they take the preference of the younger people in the crowd to make sure that they get to ask him questions. And you could tell by the questions they asked, they really admired him for so many reasons. But boy, when he tells young kids to think on their own and to get married and have a family, it's just amazing to see someone of that age be able to turn so many kids that I think before Charlie Kirk really got out in the public eye, kids didn't have that kind of hope. And he gave youth in this country and right here in Albuquerque, he gave them. them so much hope.
And at the age of 31, he was just getting started.
Yeah, so much life to live.
And,
It's a shame.
and how much he had accomplished already in such a short amount of time. State Senator Nicole Tobias with us here on News Radio KKOB. Nicole, thank you very much for your time this morning. We appreciate your perspective.
Thank you, Bob.
Hi, I'm Vince Colonnese, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories, and I'll bring attention to the stories the legacy media want you to ignore. We feature news-making interviews with the top guests on the planet. I'll ask the questions you can only dream of other interviewers asking. And of course, I'll take your calls from sea to shining sea. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
From 96.3 News Radio KKOB.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job, not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters? Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
When disaster
さあ、長い旅路の始まりだ。ついに着いてな。旅が始まった。左に曲がる準備をせよ。左に曲がれ。準備をせよ。先に右に曲がれ。次に左に曲がれ。左に曲がれ。 左に曲がる準備をせよ。左に曲がれ。右に曲がれ。右に曲がれ。一番最初の出口から出ー。交差点から出れ。一番最初の出口から出ー。交差点から出れ。先に左に曲がれ。次に左に曲がれ。左に曲がれ。目標達成だ。
Mannerheimi sano, nyt sitä lähtää, silmien väliin ryssiä tähtää.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Sen joka sivistystä tyrkyttääpi, äkkiä nikkeli myrkyttääpi.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Silmien väliin nikkeli rautaa, kyllä ne itse kaivaa hautaa.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Turhaan ne politurkit huutaa ja hossuu, Suomessa ei elä vinkkeli tossu.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Tulkoon vaikka Rasputiini, näin sitä käydään kurkusta kiinni.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Onhan se tommonen ryssän kettu, ennenkin Suomessa korvennettu.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Iivana täältä ei löydä kotiin, kaikki ne mätänee Karjalan mottiin.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Siihen se kuusiston kunnia stoppaa, hevosen nahkasta se keittää soppaa.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Molotovin korpit ne pilvistä tippuu, Suomessa ei elä veripuna lippuu.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Puukolla puhki se Aasia paise, Suomessa ryssä ei kauan haise.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Tunteva olevansa ryssän kyssä, Suomen leijonan syleilyssä.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu.
Hangon se hyyrä se Viipurin otti, mut nyt molemmista tehdään motti.
Silmien väliin ryssää juu. Silmien väliin ryssää, kyllä se siihen tyssää. Silmien väliin